For anybody watching this, white people who care, what can we do to help?
I think the first thing that you guys can do is just listen, hear what we're saying, and see, humanity in us. What my grandmother used to always tell me: treat people how you want to be treated.
For a long time, I sort of suffered in silence. This series is trying to shine a light on these topics. There is no stigma to me. It's mine.
Black lives! Black lives! Black lives!
Darius, it's great to have you on Mind Matters, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's definitely a pleasure to be here.
I wanted to start with this intense wave of racial and social unrest this past summer. And, what got you out to protest on the streets near your hometown in Milwaukee?
Me and my girlfriend went to a protest, and there's a guy up there talking about we're all oppressed, we all feel the hurt, and it was off the stuff with George Floyd. And to mention that this is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. Yeah. Me sitting here, and I just had to take it in, like, no. And I actually went up there and I spoke to the crowd.
Is that your personality? I mean, that takes a lot of courage.
I just really wanted to be on the forefront just so I can speak my mind and just show, like, we don't need people speaking for us. We're right here and we're able to do these things ourselves.
Impressed by his initiative, the protest organizers asked Darius to help lead other large street protests.
A lot of us black people, we would still be dealing with this trauma after this ends. But this is a start, at least within this city.
And it was just huge for me to be vulnerable around 4,000 to 5,000 people. It was a stress reliever. I cried in front of the crowd. It was super big as somebody that was so bottled up with so much emotions and not knowing how to release it. And it was just an awakening for myself. It was just amazing.
As that evolved, how are you doing mentally, and did it ever take its toll on you?
Yeah, that was the whole premise of me starting Black Space.
Darius teamed up with his friends Corey Fells and therapist Dr. Leah Knox to create Black Space, an organization that offers free group therapy sessions for communities of color. While Darius had never been to therapy himself, he knew it was what his community needed most, especially during this tumultuous time.
So the idea initially started with Darius. Darius wanted to be able to have a space that he can be able to gather Black and brown people to be able to kind of talk about their emotions.
We're in great need of mental health services for Black and brown communities. We don't have affordable mental health services. We don't have many providers of color.
You and Corey and Dr. Knox started Black Space, but you were also like a client.
I think it was good for the people that came, just to show like the people that put this together, they're searching for help too.
I see myself in you. I understand what you're going through.
And I got to a point where I told myself, like, I don't want to protest anymore. I want to fix within. Like, yes, we can show the world about how they should treat us, but do I even know how to treat myself? That was the premise of, like, let's put, Black Space together. Let's help out our people that's out there fighting, because the same thing that I'm dealing with right now, my father dealt with, his father dealt with, these generational curses. I'm wanting to stop that for my own daughter.
Darius first recognized his own mental health issues during a bout of depression in 2017, after losing his job and ending a relationship with the mother of his young daughter, Yanni.
Until I went through my depression, when I was on the verge of killing myself, I honestly thought depression wasn't a real thing.
Right, me too. Like an adjective, like I'm just really bummed out.
Yeah. So what, brought me to the conclusion of I need help. I was crying in front of her, and she was about 4 or 5, and she told me, "Daddy, it's okay."
Yeah.
And then I was able to see, like, oh man, like, I couldn't sit around and be a bystander and seeing it's harming my daughter.
Do you take stock and take a second to sort of feel your own growth and achievement?
I'm still growing. I'm not at the point where I want to be. You see, I have so many plants, and I use that as a way to understand myself. If I'm off balance and I'm not paying attention to the plants around me, I know I'm not watering myself.
Does anyone know what an anxiety attack feels like? Because they don't all feel the same. How many people have had them? When you talk to a therapist that looks like you, you don't really have to explain what it means to be Black or brown. And you can definitely connect on a deeper level.
Black Space is a therapeutic experience to be able to hopefully have everyone leave with their own personal interests in having one-on-one therapy.
I'm hoping that they receive a sense of relief. I want them to know that mental illness should not be a stigma. We have to destigmatize it.
Mental health as it pertains to communities of color, what can we do together? You know what I mean? Like if I say to you, Darius, like I'm not gonna be that white dude that stood up at the protest and pretend that I know the stripes of the Black community. I can't do that, right? For anybody watching this, you know, white people who care, you know, what can we do to help?
I think the first thing that you guys can do is just listen. Hear what we're saying and see, you know, humanity in us. What my grandmother used to always tell me, treat people how you want to be treated. Don't let this be a trend of right now. This needs to be a conversation that we're constantly having with ourselves.
Yeah, not a one-off. This needs to be the beginning of real dialogue.
Yes, yes. And that's why in the protest, one of my favorite chants was, we are one, regardless of what we look like, anything, you know, we're coming here together. We are one. Yeah.
We are one. We are one. We are one. We are